What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackwoods. This is the Kaged Review, and this is the review for Green Lantern, one of the most reviled movies, period. So let me start off by saying that I started reading comics with the Green Lantern comics, and I bought so many series, and I absolutely love them. They are my favorite comic book series. I love the lore. I just think it's amazing. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know to understand why this movie is so bad, and it really is. So you have 7 different cores, and they all have their own color that they're kind of attributed, correlated with, and they all feed off of their own energy. Obviously, Green Lantern's color is green. Go figure. And they feed off the power of will. The Sinestro core, or the yellow core, they feed off the power of fear, and so on and so forth. Each core has their own entity, its own like physical embodiment of their power. Parallax is the physical embodiment of fear. So that's a key point before I start this. You need to know that to understand why this sucks so bad. So this is directed by Martin Campbell. It stars Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, who is pretty much the most powerful Green Lantern ever in history. He's also a pilot, and he works for Ferris Aircraft. He has a love interest, both in the comics and in the movie, played by Blake Lively as Carol Ferris. Carol Ferris, Ferris Aircraft, is a pilot as well. She also, in the comics, becomes the head of the Star Sapphires, which is another corps who they're feed off the power of love. So, not relative to the movie, but I wanted to throw that little nugget in there. Hal Jordan is this very immature, goofy guy. Carol Ferris is kind of his grounding figure, you know, the one that tries to keep him focused. He also has another friend that's kind of a grounding figure as well. Tom Kalmaku, who is played by Taika Waititi, this was my introduction to Taika Waititi, imagine that. And honestly, as much as I love Taika, both as an actor and as a director, they could have cut this character out completely and it been a better movie for it, to be very honest. I just felt like he added nothing, and I mean nothing. And it wasn't his fault, it was the writing. The writing for this movie sucked. Bad. So you start out this movie with, you find out that Parallax, this fear entity, has been imprisoned by a Green Lantern named Abin Sur. He's this alien creature who is like this great Green Lantern fighter. He's really renowned. Well, there's this alien spacecraft that crashes where Parallax has been imprisoned. They fall through this hole. They see Parallax. They're afraid. Parallax feeds off of fear. He pulls their souls out and he breaks free of this prison. He goes and hunts down Abin Sur. He kills him. And when a Green Lantern is killed, they have a power ring that flies off and goes to find another Green Lantern to recruit. And obviously that's Hal Jordan. So you get all of that very, very quickly. And then you get introduced to Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris. They're running a dogfight in planes with these like robotic planes. And you find out that not only is Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris friends, but also Hector Hammond, who is played by Peter Sarsgaard, not to be confused with Skarsgård. Hector Hammond in the movie, it was difficult for me because in the comics, I don't think that he has any correlation with the Yellow Lanterns or Parallax or any of that. In the movie, he does. So, the Green Lantern finds Hal Jordan. He gets recruited into the Green Lanterns, and then the government finds the alien body, Abin Sur. And so they take it to a facility where Hector Hammond is picked to do the autopsy. So he does the autopsy on Abin Sur, and part of Parallax's energy is still inside Abin Sur and connects to Hector Hammond. And this gives him a bunch of powers, telepathy, you know, he can move things with his mind, and he's super intelligent now. It also creates his head to expand really, really large. And that's true in the comics. He's got this massive head. But in the movie, it really looked bad. The CGI when his head was expanding was terrible. And when it was finished, it just looked like an upside down ball sack. Like, that legitimately is what it looked like. It was terrible. So, this leads into a big fight with Hector Hammond and Hal Jordan, of course. There's going to be this point where these two meet. And when they do meet, Hector Hammond has his father, Tim Robbins, Robert Hammond, kind of isolated. Hal Jordan comes to save him. And the story between Hector Hammond and his father is like his father's always been disappointed in him. He's always wanted him to be more. He's this, corporate type guy who's just very distant and cold. So Hector Hammond kills his father, played by Tim Robbins. It was a small role and terrible for it because this guy was an amazing actor, and that's what he had. And of course, the fight ensues with Hal Jordan and Hector Hammond. Hector Hammond uses his telepathy to just slam Hal Jordan's body to the ground. And then he touches people and he can see their memories. So he touches Hal Jordan's head and he can see who it is. He now knows that this is his friend, supposedly. And he gets what's going on. When that happens, the part of Hector Hammond that is Parallax, the part of the creature that like attached itself to Hammond, somehow acts as a beacon for the rest of Parallax. Now let's talk about Parallax for a second. This was one of the biggest comic book movie atrocities ever. Parallax has got a really cool design in the comics. He's a physical creature. And here, he is literally nothing more than a gray and yellow cloud. Like literally a cloud with a head. It was the dumbest decision ever. It was the laziest creature creation I've ever seen. And I was like, you've got to be shitting me. I don't care what this movie was. Forget the fact that I am a huge Green Lantern fan. It just looks stupid for a movie, period. So, this cloud starts coming to Earth now because he found out that Hal Jordan has the same ring that Abensur had, so naturally he wants to kill Hal Jordan too. Which honestly doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever. So, one of the coolest things about this whole movie was Hal Jordan gets picked up by this green energy and transported to Oa. Oa is like the Green Lantern center station, if you will. It's like where all Green Lanterns converge and have their meetings and whatever. So Oa is a place where Green Lanterns go and they kind of learn how to be a Green Lantern. And you first meet Tama Ray, who is this alien creature, voiced by Jeffrey Rush, which I didn't know was Jeffrey Rush until I looked it up a couple of days ago. And so that was kind of cool. I love Jeffrey Rush as an actor, actually. And so he kind of introduces Hal Jordan to how the ring works with your body. And then Kilowog, which is another alien, really big alien creature, is like a trainer for the Green Lantern Corps. Think of him like a drill sergeant for the Army. And he's voiced by Michael Duncan Clark, Michael Duncan Clark. I almost said it backwards. And so he's kind of going through the training regime with Hal Jordan and teaching him how to fight with a ring, how to create objects, how to use your will and focus your will. And there was one moment that's kind of important later in the movie where he creates this sun with a magnetic pull made out of green energy, and he's talking to him about how you got to be careful flying through space because the sun's magnetic pull will pull you right into it. And he's like, the bigger you are, the faster you burn, which becomes important later. But then you get your first real introduction of Thal Sinestro, played by Mark Strong. My favorite character in this movie by a mile. Mark Strong killed this role. He was perfect for Sinestro. And you meet Sinestro as a Green Lantern. And he is basically the leader of the Green Lanterns. This guy is, renowned for sure. And so Abensur was one of his friends, and he was very curious about, who the ring chose next after Abensur. And there's this big training/fight sequence between Sinestro and Hal Jordan that was really the best part of this movie. They were creating all kind of different objects with the light energy, and having this really cool fight. It was really visually stunning, and like that was the best part of this whole movie by far. Um, and it didn't last that long, unfortunately, but it shows that Hal Jordan, he is afraid. He's really not cut out to be a Green Lantern in his mind. He's way out of his element, and Sinestro is a really hardcore ass. So, but it was very good. It was a very cool scene. So at the end of the day, Hector Hammond fails in his mission to take care of Hal Jordan, which is something Parallax wanted him to do. So Parallax shows up on Earth. He absorbs Hector Hammond's soul because obviously he sees him and he's afraid. And then the fight ensues between Parallax and Hal Jordan. And this was terrible on every level it could be. Like I said, the creature creation here was just ridiculous. So Hal Jordan, I'm going to skip to the end of the fight, which is Hal Jordan leads Parallax away from Earth. They're flying in space. He sees the sun and he remembers the lesson. And so he flies as close as he can to the sun. Parallax gets pulled in, burns up, and it was kind of, I don't know, it was just bad all the way around. Here's the bad part about having Parallax in this movie. Parallax is really the big bad in the Green Lantern series, even above Sinestro. A lot of people, thinks of Sinestro as, the evil opposite of Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, but Parallax is the fear entity. Like, this is the thing. So I really feel like they messed up bringing Parallax in at the beginning. That's like starting the Avengers movies with Thanos. You really have nowhere to go after that. And so what I think they should have done, personally, honestly, is start out with Hector Hammond. Just Hector Hammond. Have Sinestro in the movie training the Green Lanterns like he did, being the leader of the Green Lanterns like you saw. Just focus on Hector Hammond, though. Create his backstory. Create him as an interesting character. And that way you have some really cool visuals that you can have between Hector Hammond and Green Lantern. And then at the end of the movie, they did have a mid-credit cutscene where you saw Sinestro take off the green ring and put on a yellow ring. His suit turned yellow, and he becomes the Sinestro we all know and love to hate. And that would have been the basis for your second movie. And then you could have moved on and had like a Sinestro Corps war, which is this big thing in the Green Lantern comics where you had the Green Lantern Corps versus the Sinestro Corps. You had multiple characters you had on both sides. It could have been very interesting. And then you could have moved on to Parallax. Instead, they did everything ass backwards and they made Parallax look ridiculous. You could tell whoever made this movie didn't give a shit about the comics. I mean, and the writing was terrible at points. Like, it was really ridiculous. So this movie would have been bad regardless, but being as I am such a Green Lantern fan and saw the travesty that this was, I really hated this movie with a passion. And it sucks because I say that and it's like, honestly, I would have been excited to see the movie just to see my favorite characters on screen for the first time. And I guess in that way, it's true. But they kind of butchered it, especially with Hal Jordan. Like Ryan Reynolds, some people had a problem with Ryan Reynolds. I don't. I think he's a good actor. He's got great comedic timing, but he wasn't a good fit for Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan in the comics, while he is funny at times and he can be a bit quippy, he's definitely more serious, and he's got a more serious approach to things. And so they definitely missed the mark with the Hal Jordan character as a whole. So that's kind of my thoughts on Green Lantern, man. There was so much that they did not do right. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. That's where I'm at with it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz, Kaged Nation.